Now available on Tata Sky channel number 526.
All right, straight to the top story. Then Mumbai civic body BMC is making provisions for affordable housing across the city. In the new draft development control rules, the BMC mandates that the developer has to surrender 20% of the plot to the civic body, and that too free of cost. My colleague Disha Shah is standing by live with some exclusive details on that front. Disha, tell us, what are these new development rules all about?
That's right, there could be supply of smaller homes in the city of Mumbai, as Mumbai civic body BMC has proposed in its new draft of development control regulations, or DCR, has proposed that for construction of affordable houses in the city of Mumbai, developers will have to hand over minimum of 20% of the plot area to the BMC, and that too free of cost. And the FSI of the plot that will be handed over to the BMC shall be allowed to be utilized on that remaining plot, which also means that if this gets implemented on ground, smaller homes will be developed on that 20% of the project that is developed by each and every developer. Moreover, the rules also proposes that this plot has to be surrendered to BMC within the given time frame, which is 6 months after getting the approvals, after getting the necessary approvals. And if any developer fails to comply these rules, then BMC won't give any occupation certificate or OC to the developer. And lastly, the draft also mentions that only affordable houses will be built on the 20% of the plot, and it won't be used for any other development purposes. So of course, this is just the proposal proposed by BMC. Of course, this will take some time to get implemented on ground, but an important thing to note here is that if this gets implemented on ground, we could expect more supply of smaller homes in the city of Mumbai.
So what kind of an impact will these rules have on the real estate sector? Will we see more affordable homes coming in? Will the garbage crisis finally be resolved? To understand that and to answer those questions, joining us live on the phone line is Ravi Ahuja, Managing Director, Office Agency and Investment Sales India at Cushman & Wakefield. Ravi, thank you so much for taking time out to be with us here in the Property News and Magic Bricks. Now tell us, garbage disposal, rainwater harvesting, compliance will become difficult. Will it also be expensive?
Sure, it won't only be expensive, but I also feel the time this may take will itself be, adding up to the entire cost of these propositions. So the garbage disposal case, for example, we know that the BMC has given a time frame, which hopefully, if it is met, will be great. But I think there is all probability of extension, because so many metric tons of garbage to be managed and to be vacated into a new dump will not only take a year and a half or two, but can take much more time. All this would mean cost overruns. All this would mean that till such time there is clarity on, and therefore the development restrictions till such time would mean artificial scarcity of supply of new residential development, which may mean that the prices which had started to correct may halt due to this artificial supply, scarcity. So overall, I think it's good that there is clarity being sought, and these compliance issues are being given focus. Better late than never, as they say. But all this would mean cost overruns. All this would mean also artificial scarcity till the development takes place. And therefore the pricing impact.
We also have Rohit Poddar, Managing Director of Poddar Developers, joining us. Ravi, Rohit, thank you so much for taking time out to be with us. Tell us, is this practically possible, to carve out 20% of a plot and hand it over to the BMC first up?
Thank you for having me on the panel. I think it's going to be very difficult, especially for small plots of land. Talking about having additional FSI as a compensation for the same, but I don't know how practically feasible it's going to be for redevelopment projects, anything with the DC rule of 33 onwards, for slum projects as well. There are several parts of the city which have a height restriction, for example, because of the flight path, where the current FSI can't even be used. So I don't understand the practical implications of this, how it'll actually be I'll actually be executed from a working perspective level.
Rohit, the OC will be contingent on this. Can we then expect the supply of affordable homes in the city, and more importantly, what will happen to prices because of this?
Well, listen, there has to be a policy to create affordable housing in the city, because you can't have, only greenfield projects in the suburbs or the MMR area as a generator for affordable housing. So I agree in principle that something needs to be done for the same. However, I think a policy of 20% of the ground area is going to be next to impossible to execute, and you'll have many stalled projects as a consequence of this, or many unviable redevelopments, including slum projects. So I don't know. I don't know what the solution actually is. I know that it's important to have certain amount of housing that should be built for budget homes, but I'm not sure that this is the right solution.
Rohit, also executive engineers have been empowered to approve projects. Do you think the draft DCR then strikes a balance between social goals, sustainability, and at the same time promotes the ease of doing business?
I think that this government is very, very keen on cutting red tape and to basically, I think they understand what pain the developers are actually going through. So I think that empowering the correct level of engineer to approve projects is very important, because it will obviously save time. Speed to market will increase, and of course, the holding cost of developers will basically come down, which will of course in effect make houses more affordable. So I think that the spirit of the DC rule is certainly there. There are of course tweaks that we all would like to make to the DC rules, and currently they are in the suggestion objection time frame, and various industry bodies like PIATA or NAREDCO or MCHI are basically giving their representation on the same to them. And I believe that I know for a fact that the municipal commissioner is very open to suggestions that are in the right spirit. They also want to make a DC rule that's practically executable, from a ground level position. So I think you'll see some changes, of course, with the DC rules over the next month or so, or before that's finalized.
All right, Rohit, hold on, because Ravi Ahuja is still with us. Ravi, I just wanted to ask you once before we wrap this up. 20% of the plot being handed over to the BMC. The OC is contingent upon it. Do you think it's practically possible? And tell us, do you think this will impact prices?
So, a couple of points on the 20%, couple of aspects that get impacted is clearly the land coverage. In Mumbai, in a city like Mumbai, for example, where the land sizes are not as large as compared to some of the other tier 2 and 3 cities of, let's say, Pune, Hyderabad, etc. I think land sizes are small. So to call out 20% and hand over would mean that the floor coverage in many cases may get impacted, let alone the FSI. So I think physically it may cause some challenge for the lower size of plots which have to call out 20% for handover. So it may be wise and it may be prudent to set a stipulation that for sizes of plots which are higher than, let's say, X size, where there are schemes and layouts, 20% can be cut off. Second, on the impact on FSI and the infrastructure itself, one has to look at building the necessary civic infrastructure of the 80% plot and linking occupation certificate to that. While the intention is good, but if the developer fails to eventually meet his commitment, the customer or the consumer will eventually get impacted. So why impact him? So one has to look into these aspects.
All right, Ravi Ahuja and Rohit Poddar, thank you so much for taking time out to be with us here on Property News and Magic Bricks Now, and explaining and putting that into perspective on what this means for affordable housing in the city.
You can watch live TV on our website mpnow.in. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Magic Bricks Now. And don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at Magic Bricks Now. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/Magic Bricks Now.